Hi, welcome to week 9, and yep, we are halfway done. Congratulations for having the courage and determination to get this far. Looking at the grades are pretty good. So I have enjoyed reading your insightful discussion comments, by the way. Many of you showed a considerable amount of research in what you wrote. This week, you have exam number 2 on chapters 4, 5, and 6. Now, since my exams are pretty much the same format-wise, let's talk a little bit about what to expect and what tips to study. So chapter 4 introduced a merchandising company. Prior to that, chapters 1, 2, and 3, we were mostly dealing with service companies. So along with introducing the merchandise company, we got COGS and merchandise inventory, right? Cost of goods sold. So you need to understand how to record purchases and sales, purchase returns and sales returns. And remember, the returns are simply a reverse of the purchase transaction from the journal entry perspective. You should understand credit terms, right? Remember 210 net 30. What does that mean? Recording freight cost. And remember, we've got two. We've got FOB shipping point and FOB destination. FOB standing for, as I like to say, free on board. So in chapter 4, COGS was introduced, but in the problems that we were just given the amount of the cost, right? It said the sale was for this, the cost of the item was that. But in chapter 5, they tell us how to value inventory, so how to calculate that cost of goods sold. And there were 3 main ways: FIFO, LIFO, weighted average, right? First in, first out, last in, first out, and weighted average. So obviously, you should clearly understand how to calculate each one and determine COGS and ending inventory. In chapter 6 focused on internal controls, right? Which you wrote an essay on, so you should be experts on it, and cash control. From the essay, obviously, like I said, you really should have a good understanding of each control and be able to give examples of each and understand the why of the internal controls, what makes them important. Remember, in response to Enron and WorldCom and all the scandals as far as accounting was concerned in the beginning of the 2000s, the government created, because of SOX, right, Sarbanes-Oxley, which some of you did an extra credit paper on, rules to enforce the integrity of corporate reporting and behavior. Now, cash control, the other piece of chapter 6, included things like bank reconciliations, petty cash, taking care of over and short, how to record it, and the basic rules about how companies should handle and protect cash. Now, I always suggest with regards to exams that students start with the learning objectives at the beginning of the chapter, because these are the things you're supposed to know after studying it. Check off each one of the learning objectives if you can explain it out loud. Now, the reason I say out loud is because a lot of times we can tell each other internally in our heads that we know something, when really all we know is we recognize the words, but we don't really understand the concept. So explain it out loud. So in this way, you can isolate the things that you need to reinforce with rereading, rather than doing what most of us do, and I did when I was in school. Read the chapters over and over and over and over until you get so bored you just throw the book down and say, forget it, I'm done. After reading the learning objectives and working there, the next thing I would do, go to the end of the chapter, and at the end of each chapter is what's called a self-study review problem. It's where the publisher gives you a problem related to the chapter and the solution. And my suggestion is, don't look at the solution first, do the problem, and then compare your answer to the solution. And that way you'll, again, be able to pinpoint the things that you need to brush up on. The whole idea of study should not be rehashing everything that we did. but it should simply be figuring out what of the things that you need to know you're not sure of. Then, as far as taking the exam, I always suggest you don't necessarily have to start at the beginning. It's not a book. It's not a novel. It's an exam. So think about this. If you have 15 minutes left in the exam, because you get 2 hours, if you have 15 minutes left, what would you rather be left with to do? Some multiple choice questions or a problem? For me, I'd rather have the problems out of the way, because multiple choice I can run through and you can even guess and you've got a 25% chance. So start with the problems and then go to the beginning and do the multiple choice. At any rate, again, thank you very much for sticking it out this far. I congratulate you all and good luck on the exam. And remember the cardinal rules. And I'll see you next week.